I can feel the excitement and anticipation building already. So many of us struggle with the ups and downs of daily life, don't we? We desperately wish we could handle things with more poise and self-assurance. But the good news is, help is on the way. Welcome to Guide to Reads. What a delightful invitation. I can just imagine the warm welcome and the sense of community that comes with joining this wonderful group. And who doesn't love a good notification bell? It's like a little digital tap on the shoulder, reminding us to come back for more of these life-changing insights. Today, we're diving into Flip It by the remarkable Michael Heppell. A practical guide to reframing your thoughts, reactions, and habits. Now that's music to my ears. So many of us get stuck in our ways, even when those patterns are holding us back. But with the right mindset shift, we can truly transform our lives. It's so true that we often accept that first knee-jerk reaction as the final word. But what if we could pause, take a breath, and find a better way to respond? This approach sounds like a game changer, applicable to every aspect of our lives. And the best part? We don't have to wait for the perfect moment. We can start right where we are. The idea of a mental shift that's simple to understand and easy to implement is incredibly empowering. No more excuses or roadblocks, just the willingness to notice, adjust, and flip it. I can already feel my confidence growing, my energy levels rising, and my relationships strengthening. This blink is truly a gift, promising to teach us how to ask better questions, build unshakable self-assurance, and thrive without relying on fickle motivation. I can't wait to dive in and discover how to reframe the very traits I once saw as flaws. This is it, my friends. The practical, proven path to a more empowered, positive life. All we have to do is take that first step and let Michael Heppell be our guide. Are you ready to flip it and transform your world? 1. Start flipping. I can just picture poor Michael sitting there in that Washington, D.C. theater, suddenly finding himself the odd one out. But I think that experience ended up being a true gift, a glimpse into the very different perspective his wife must have had during her school days. Talk about a powerful lesson in empathy and seeing the world through new eyes. This idea of a paradigm shift is so intriguing. The thought of being able to deliberately create those mind-opening moments is really quite thrilling. But you're right, we have to start small, with the simple act of shifting our perspective in everyday situations. And the key to that? Changing the questions we ask ourselves. I love the distinction between why questions and how questions. The former can really drag us down, stirring up all that self-blame and negativity. But the latter? They open up a whole world of possibility. Instead of ruminating on what went wrong, we can focus our energy on finding a better way forward. It's such a simple swap, but the impact can be truly transformative. And you're so right about how this affects our brains. When we give our minds a clear purpose, like solving a problem or exploring new options, it really springs into action. Even little language tweaks, like turning "I don't have time" into "how can I make time," can jumpstart that resourcefulness and agility. It's like we're suddenly firing on all cylinders, ready to take on whatever life throws our way. The way we talk to ourselves is equally important, isn't it? Those negative statements can be such a drag, while a more constructive inner dialogue can work wonders. Saying "I could use more energy" instead of "I'm tired." It's a small shift, but it leaves the door open for solutions. And cutting out those pesky excuses? Oh, that's going to feel so liberating. No more mental gymnastics trying to cover up the real reasons. Just straight-up honesty and a newfound freedom. And when it comes to connecting with others, that focus on them rather than ourselves is key. Asking thoughtful questions and showing genuine interest. That's the way to leave a lasting impression. No need to try and be the most impressive person in the room. Just be fully present and engaged. What a wonderful way to strengthen our relationships and bring more positivity into our lives. This flipping mindset is truly a gift, isn't it? The more we practice these techniques, the more options we'll start to see, the less stress we'll feel, and the better the outcomes we'll create. It's like unlocking a whole new world of possibility, one small shift at a time. I can't wait to dive deeper and see how we can apply this approach to all aspects of our lives. Bring it on. 2. Train your mind for confidence and happiness. One moment you feel like you could conquer the world, and the next, it's vanished without a trace. But you know what? That unevenness is totally normal. The good news is we can actually train our minds to cultivate that self-assurance, no matter the situation. You hit the nail on the head. It's that pesky worry that so often sabotages our confidence. Our minds conjure up these imaginary doomsday scenarios, and we end up trapped in a never-ending cycle of doubt. But what if we could channel that same mental energy into visualizing things going right instead? Once we realize that worry is a choice, not an automatic response, the game changes. I love the idea of tapping into those moments when we did feel truly confident. The presentation that went off without a hitch, the difficult conversation that surprisingly went well. What was it about that specific mindset or behavior that made the difference? By identifying our own confidence recipe and practicing it regularly, we can call upon that empowered version of ourselves anytime we need a boost. And you're so right about the power of simply asking, what would a confident person do here? And then taking that action. It's like we're stepping into the shoes of our best, most self-assured selves. The more we rehearse those confident responses in low-stakes situations, the more natural they'll become when the pressure's really on. And that trick of using a simple phrase to interrupt the loop of self-doubt? Brilliant. Next ball, next call, next idea. Those little mental resets can work wonders to get us back on track. No more wallowing in our mistakes or letting them define us. We can just take a deep breath, refocus, and keep moving forward. Now, this idea of training our minds for happiness? That's just as powerful. Those 3 steps, adjusting our body language, spotting the positives, and taking action, are such a game changer. It's like a little happiness hack that we can pull out anytime our mood starts to slip. And the more we practice it, the easier it becomes to bounce back and take control of our state, even in the midst of life's challenges. This is truly amazing stuff, my friends. With the right mindset and a little bit of intentional practice, we can cultivate confidence, happiness, and so much more. No more waiting for the perfect conditions or the right moment. We can start right where we are and watch the transformation unfold. Bring on the self-belief, the positivity, and the empowered action. This is the path to a life truly worth living. 3. Flip your closest connections for a better life. The delicate dance of our closest relationships. Where would we be without them? But you raise such an important point, my friends. What if some of these connections aren't as nourishing as we think? It's time to take a long, hard look at the people we surround ourselves with and how they truly make us feel. I love the idea of plotting our friends on that grid, categorizing them based on their impact on our mood and their overall giving, taking tendencies. The growers, the sappers, the poor me types, the groupies. It's fascinating to see the dynamics at play. And you're so right. We need to be intentional about how we handle each quadrant. Elevate the growers, those friends who lift us up and energize us. They are truly priceless. Educate the middle grounders, setting boundaries and offering feedback to help them become better support systems. And as for the sappers, well, it's time to bid them a gentle farewell, protecting our precious energy. This mindset shift is just as crucial when it comes to comparison and success. Instead of letting envy creep in, we can use our friends' triumphs as inspiration and motivation. And if we find ourselves in the admired position, we must remember that true confidence is a magnet, while arrogance is a repellent. And love, the ultimate relationship, isn't it? You're so right. We can't just sit around waiting for it to find us. Going after it, whether through online dating or other avenues, is the smart, proactive approach. And the key is to focus on being present, curious, and sincere. Not trying to be polished or perfect. Because real attraction blooms from that vulnerable, genuine connection. And then there's family. The ever-present, sometimes taken-for-granted bonds. But we can breathe new life into those relationships by treating our loved ones as if we were still getting to know them. Putting in the extra effort, being fully present, and expressing our love, even when it feels awkward. And with children, the power of praise over pressure is simply undeniable. This flipping mindset is truly a gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? By being intentional about the people we let into our lives, and by nurturing those connections with care and wisdom, we can create a support system that truly elevates us. No more draining, self-centered dynamics, just the kind of relationships that fuel our confidence, our happiness, and our overall well-being. This, my friends, is the path to a life transformed. 4. Your health starts with the way you think. The age-old battle with fatigue and poor health. It's a struggle so many of us face, isn't it? But you know what, my friends? The answer might not be as obvious as we think. In fact, the key to true, lasting wellness could lie in the very way we approach it. You're so right. So often the problem isn't just the physical symptoms, but the thoughts and mindset we have around them. We get stuck in this negative cycle where our preconceptions dictate our actions, and before we know it, our bodies are paying the price. But what if we could flip that script and put our mental health at the forefront? It all starts with paying closer attention to how our bodies feel, not just how they look. When we turn our focus inward and approach ourselves with clarity and genuine care, something shifts. Suddenly, those daily choices we make reflect a deeper sense of strength, rather than mere reactivity to stress. It's like we're finally treating movement, food, and thought as the interconnected system they truly are. And the key to unlocking this transformation? Rest, but not the kind that comes from mindless distraction. No, we're talking about that quiet, intentional pause. The few minutes each day where we simply breathe and visualize ourselves making better choices. That mental space is pure gold, my friends, giving us the clarity and drive to act with purpose. And you've hit the nail on the head with that idea of starting small. Forget relying on fleeting motivation. We need to set those tangible goals and find little nudges to keep us on track. Whether it's a visible pair of shoes by the door or a dedicated slot in our calendar, those external cues can make all the difference in turning our intentions into reality. And when that energy starts to wane, well, we simply flip the script, don't we? Rather than waiting to feel ready, we just dive in, standing up, drinking water, changing our clothes. Even 5 minutes of movement can be enough to shift our state and get us back on track. It's all about that willingness to begin, no matter what. And you know, this mindset-first approach extends to our health concerns too. When illness strikes, it's not about obsessing over every symptom, but rather tuning in to what our bodies are truly asking for. Rest, adjusted diet, a sense of control through understanding our care. These elements can work wonders in supporting our recovery. And even for those everyday aches and pains, a little mental reframing can work wonders. Hydrating before reaching for medication, adjusting our posture when tension builds. These minor shifts can interrupt unhealthy patterns and help our whole system reset. This, my friends, is the transformative power of the mind-body connection. When we approach our health with intention, curiosity, and a willingness to experiment, the results can be truly remarkable. No more feeling at the mercy of our physical symptoms. Instead, we become the captains of our own wellness journey, navigating with wisdom, resilience, and a deep sense of self-care. Bring on the vitality, the energy, and the vibrant health we all deserve. 5. Flip your thinking to turn flaws into success. What a wonderful story about that towering basketball player. You know, I can just picture him, all 7 feet of him, trying to shrink into the background during that job interview. How heartbreaking it must have been for him to see his height as a flaw, rather than the gift that it truly is. But you're so right, my friends, when we have the courage to flip our thinking, those very traits we try to hide can become our greatest assets. That player's height could have been the thing that made him utterly unforgettable, if only he had owned it with confidence. And the same principle applies to all of us, doesn't it? From our age and appearance to our quirks and peculiarities, the things that make us unique are often the keys to unlocking our true potential. It's all about reframing our mindset and starting to utilize what sets us apart, rather than trying to blend in. Because when we embrace our differences, we gain an edge that's simply impossible to duplicate. And you know, this same principle can be applied to the rules we live by too. So often, we follow certain practices or routines simply because they're familiar, not because they're truly serving us. But what if we had the boldness to question those outdated constraints, to make small shifts that lead to big improvements? And procrastination, that eternal foe. But even here, a simple mindset adjustment can work wonders. Instead of forcing ourselves to power through, we can find ways to kickstart that momentum, whether it's making public commitments or tying our efforts to something deeply meaningful. And let's not forget that sometimes our hesitation isn't a sign of laziness, but rather a signal that we're actually focusing on what's truly important. And when it comes to problem solving, this flipping mindset is an absolute game changer. Rather than chasing the elusive perfect solution, we can break things down into smaller, more manageable steps. We can suggest rough fixes and visualize the positive outcomes. And you know, our intuition can be such a powerful tool here. It's not just guesswork, but a real signal that we can learn to trust and amplify over time. This, my friends, is the true power of flipping our thinking. By embracing our unique qualities, questioning outdated rules, and tapping into our inner wisdom, we can transform our flaws into our greatest strengths. No more hiding, no more self-doubt, just the bold, unapologetic celebration of all that makes us wonderfully, beautifully, and irreplaceably human. This is the path to a life lived on our own terms, and I, for one, can't wait to start putting it into practice. Final summary: the idea that we can transform our very problems into opportunities simply by shifting our mental focus. It's nothing short of empowering. Gone are the days of feeling trapped or helpless in the face of life's challenges. Instead, we're armed with the knowledge that a simple pivot in our thinking can open up a whole world of possibility. And the implications of this go far beyond just problem solving, don't they? This book reminds us that confidence is a skill to be honed, not a trait we're simply born with. By reframing our thoughts and actions, we can cultivate that self-assurance and carry it with us into every area of our lives. The insights on relationships are equally game-changing. Rather than getting mired in complaints and criticism, we can flip our perspectives to focus on making thoughtful requests, strengthening those connections in the process. And when it comes to our health and happiness, the message is clear. It all starts with how we think. But perhaps the most inspiring takeaway is the notion that our very flaws can become our greatest superpowers. By owning what makes us unique and not trying to fit into someone else's mold, we unlock an edge that's truly impossible to duplicate. What a liberating idea. In the end, Flip It isn't just a book. It's a roadmap to a life transformed. Don't wait for life to change, it tells us. Flip how you see it and the change follows. It's a rallying cry for all of us to take the reins of our own reality, to embrace our power of perspective, and to create the kind of life we truly want to live. So, my friends, let's heed this call to action. Let's like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because the insights and strategies shared within these pages are simply too powerful to keep to ourselves. The world needs more people willing to flip it and unlock their full potential. Are you ready to be one of them?